Hey, it's Kyle here, and I just got back from a really incredible fun experience this past weekend, and that was attending DragonCon 2021 in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, I've attended DragonCon several times in the past, but this one was extra special because obviously, like a lot of stuff in 2020, it didn't happen. So it's been over 2 years since I attended DragonCon, so it was nice to kind of get back to basically my favorite nerdy time of the year every year is attending DragonCon. And this one's extra special. If you're a viewer of this channel, you saw me make the announcement a couple weeks ago that I was actually going to get to be on some panels this year at DragonCon, which did happen. It was awesome. I was on 6 panels, some Star Wars panels, and a couple on dealing with historical fiction and alternate history. But I thought I'd give you a quick little video to kind of outline my experience with DragonCon this year. First off, I'll say all the cosplay there was amazing. I don't cosplay myself, but I always love seeing the cosplay at DragonCon. That's what DragonCon's probably best known for, is maybe the top cosplay convention in the country. And there were some really cool, amazing cosplays. It's awesome. In some ways, you actually could see them better because they did cap the attendance this year at DragonCon. I believe it was 50% at what it was at 2019. So I think it's like 45,000 people they let in this year. So there was more room at the hotel, so you could actually see some of the costumes more, which was kind of cool. It was also easier to get around. It wasn't quite as crowded. If you've never been to DragonCon before and you attended it probably felt crowded, but for people that had been there before, it kind of felt like, oh, this is almost like there's nobody here. When you go from 90,000 to 45,000, that's a big difference. But the cosplay was amazing. Some really cool costumes. I would say always one thing I enjoy when I go to DragonCon is I'm kind of curious what the most popular costume theme will be for that year. And this year it was definitely Loki. There was a ton of Loki variant costumes, which is very appropriate because one of the hotels that hosts DragonCon is the Marriott Marquis, which was the filming site for the TVA in the recent Loki series, which is, I'm sure, one reason why so many people actually went with Loki costumes. It was really cool. The staff at the Marriott even had TVA t-shirts, and they were kind of embracing the fun, so that was very, very cool. Probably after Loki, I would think maybe the next biggest was probably Mandalorian themed costumes, but Loki was by far and away the biggest one. I was kind of surprised that there weren't as many WandaVision ones. I did see some, but nowhere near as much as Loki. I think part of it's because all of the Loki variants, there was just a lot of versions of that costume you could do, and it was probably a little bit easier to put together than some other cosplays, really intricate stuff. Loki was something you could kind of do casually, or also you could get really elaborate with it. But beyond the cosplays, the main reason I always go is like I really enjoy going to panels. That's kind of my thing. So I thought I'd kind of go over the panels I went to. I'm actually pulling up the DragonCon app here so that way I don't forget any panels when I'm trying to list them off. And when I'm doing this, I'll kind of touch on the ones I was specifically a part of. But if you're not familiar with DragonCon, it's always Labor Day weekend. The bulk of the conference is really Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. There's a little bit stuff on Thursday, but not a whole lot. Thursday was when I went down to go pick up my badge because I had a panel early Friday morning, and I was afraid if I got my badge Friday morning that the line would be so long I'd miss my panel. So I went down Thursday night just to get my badge, but really beyond that, everything else I did was Friday through Monday. So on Friday, as I mentioned, my day got started off with a panel I was actually on. It was Star Wars New Canon, and basically me and some other panelists kind of talked about a lot of the new Star Wars content that's came out since the last DragonCon in 2019. We were mainly focusing on the book content, but we also touched on stuff like The Mandalorian and The Bad Batch. But basically just touching on like all the amazing books and comic books and stuff like that that came out in the past couple of years and what that means for the direction of Star Wars. It was a really fun panel. I'm kind of glad that my DragonCon got started off with a panel I was actually on, because I think otherwise if it had been late in the day I would just kept on getting more and more nervous. First thing I was able to do a panel, get over my nerves, and just kind of enjoy the rest of the con. which is good because immediately after this one was the second panel I was on. Friday was my busy day. I had 3 panels I was on. it was a very long day. The next panel I was on was the Mandalorian Speculation Fan Panel, as that title hints at, is basically a bunch of fans just speculating on what will be next for the Mandalorian. Competition was a lot of fun. There were some very interesting theories, both from the other panelists and the audience who asked questions, and it definitely got me excited again for the next season of The Mandalorian. Not saying I wasn't excited, but it's one of those things, it's been a while since the last Mandalorian episode. I've watched the Bad Batch and stuff since then, a lot of the Marvel series. So the Mandalorian kind of faded a little bit to my background and not necessarily front of mind, and this kind of brought it back forward, and like, oh yeah, can't wait for the next season of The Mandalorian. Next up was the first panel I actually attended, which was nice to kind of not have to be one of the speakers and kind of get to enjoy the panel. And this one was One Season Wonders, basically sci-fi shorts, sci-fi series that only ran for one season. So stuff like Firefly, and kind of there was panelists kind of talking about like why various shows only lasted a year and were able to go beyond that, if any of them should be brought back, that type of stuff. It was kind of a very fun discussion. Obviously a lot of the panel did revolve around Firefly, but it was kind of a nice little panel that highlighted a lot of them that I really enjoyed that didn't really get a full chance to really make it. Next up, I attended a fan panel on WandaVision, and kind of talking about that series. That panel was really awesome. There was some very cool experts on that fan panel. There was a philosopher that kind of was able to touch on all the stuff that the show brought up on that end. There was a mental health expert that was really able to delve deep into the issues that Wanda was going through in the series. And there was also some really big super fans on that panel that brought a lot of comic book knowledge that really made that, honestly, one of my favorite fan panels to attend while I was at DragonCon. And I should mention, I tend to attend a lot more fan panels. I don't really attend a lot of the ones that are like the big star ones. I kind of like the ones that are the smaller panels where there's a lot of discussion. It just feels such the type of panel I enjoy a little bit more. Next up, I attended a panel, Pardon Me, But Do You Binge? And basically this was a panel discussing the benefits of either binge watching like the Netflix model, or if you prefer the way like Disney Plus releases that shows like The Mandalorian or WandaVision or Loki, where they do one episode a week, kind of like traditional television, and basically kind of debating that. I was kind of surprised everybody on the panel all sided on more they preferred the binge method, but they did kind of acknowledge there was benefits to the once a week type thing, which is actually the way I kind of prefer. I do kind of like the Disney Plus model of an episode a week. But it's a very interesting discussion with people, panel and the audience, kind of bringing up pluses and minuses for both of those watching methods, I guess you could say. Next up is one of my favorite panels to attend every year at DragonCon, and that's William Shakespeare's Star Wars. It's based on a series of books that have been published that basically do Shakespearean versions of all the Star Wars movies, episode 1 through 9. And every year at DragonCon, they take some of their kind of panelists and stuff, and they do a reenactment of one of those books. I wasn't on it. That's how I enjoyed it. I was in the audience. I'm not an actor. I have no interest in being a part of this one, but it's always one of my favorite things to attend. It's very funny. If you're a Star Wars fan, there's stuff to enjoy. If you're a Shakespeare fan, there's stuff to enjoy. If you're kind of a theater fan, there's stuff to enjoy. If you like comedy, there's stuff to enjoy this panel. It's always just like a funny, light-hearted panel that just kind of gives you some reasons to laugh and relax while you're at DragonCon. Then after that, I attended a kind of a fan trivia contest for Battlestar Galactica, which was a lot of fun. I did okay on it. Weirdly, I did better on the trivia questions relating to the original series and not the newer series. The reason I say weird, I've never really watched the original series. I just was very lucky in a lot of my guesses. But it was a kind of multiple choice, so it did give you a chance, even if you didn't know the answers. You get lucky a few times, and so halfway through the contest, I was like first or second. I ended up and finished like 12th or 13th out of 30, so still pretty respectable. Just didn't win a prize. And then my last panel of the day was actually the last panel I was on Friday, which was Temporal Jeopardy, which is basically, as the name implies, a game of Jeopardy, but it was kind of focused more on like historical fiction and some history topics. But I did okay on it. Technically I won, but just because when we got to Final Jeopardy, they said you could wager as much as you want, and I wagered 1,000,000 points, and I was the only person that got Final Jeopardy right. But I would say in the first couple rounds, I was a distant third. A few of the historical fiction categories, they highlighted some like book series with stuff I've never read before, so I absolutely slaughtered on those categories. But I think I did well enough that I wasn't embarrassing myself. And like I said, I did get the Final Jeopardy question right, which was related to George Washington. So technically I kind of won, but not really. So that was my Friday. On Saturday was a little less intense day since Friday I was there so late. And I should say I don't stay at DragonCon. I live close enough to Atlanta that I basically take the subway, which in Atlanta, our subway system is called MARTA. I basically take MARTA in, so I drive to this train system and take that in, which is about an hour and a half. So I end up commuting every day about 3 hours, but to me it's just easier than getting a hotel and cheaper also. But I was there on DragonCon so late on Friday, and I had to get there so early on Friday, I was exhausted. So I decided I wasn't going to go quite in as early on Saturday as I normally do. And so I didn't stay as late as well, because I just wanted to kind of do a casual Saturday and then kind of get my energy back up and then go all at it for Sunday and Monday. But for Saturday, first panel I attended was a Star Wars one, which was a Bad Batch fan panel, just talking everything first season of Bad Batch, what people liked, what they didn't like, all that type of stuff. I love the Bad Batch, so I really enjoyed this panel. Then was the next panel that I was on, which was Star Wars: The High Republic. The High Republic is the newest book series that Star Wars is doing, which is basically set a few hundred years before the events of the original trilogy. I love the High Republic book series. I've reviewed several of those books on here, and this might have been the panel I think I enjoyed the most being on. The discussion was really great. Everybody on the panel had some really cool insights on what characters and plot points they liked. The audience was really into it. I wasn't sure how big of attendance it was. This is kind of a new book series, but the room was pretty packed out. So I really enjoyed this chance to kind of talk about the High Republic. And then the I should say after that one, I took a break. I usually at DragonCon, I usually like to skip a panel every once in a while and do a loop around the Marriott specifically, which is where a lot of the cosplayers hang out, and just kind of walk around and check out all the cosplay. So I did that, a little cosplay walk around, and then I attended my last panel on Saturday, which was a panel of Star Wars authors. The two best known ones on the panel was Kevin Anderson and Timothy Zahn, who's my favorite author. I've attended this panel a lot of times in the past. I always enjoy it. I always love hearing them talk about the Star Wars books they've written. Then on Sunday, had a little bit of a longer day. I first attended a fan panel about Hamilton, which was really cool. I love the musical, but Hamilton's also one of my favorite historical figures, so I kind of got a little bit of enjoyment on both sides of that in that panel. Then I attended, really the only big panel I attended, which was a Battlestar Galactica panel, which had several of the stars of the new series was on there. I have a friend, Kat of Diamonds, who's done stuff on YouTube. I've done some stuff with her on Project Nerdy in the past. And usually every year we attend a panel together at DragonCon when Battlestar's in. They're usually there every single year. So we kind of did our annual tradition, attended a Battlestar panel. It was great. You tell the cast really love each other, and they kind of really enjoy talking about it. It was a very emotional panel. Almost everybody on the panel broke down and crying at some point when they were talking about other people that were not on the panel. Just kind of reminiscing on some memories of making the show, some people that were on the show that have since passed away. It was a very moving and entertaining panel. Next up, I attended a Star Wars Trivia Contest Finals. I was not on this. DragonCon might have the hardest Star Wars trivia contest in the country. So the night before, they actually do a written exam, and you have to get a certain score to make it to the finals. But I always attend the finals to watch it because it's one of the most impressive things I ever watched. The amount of knowledge people on that panel have of Star Wars is amazing. If you ever attend DragonCon and you love Star Wars, I would really recommend attending this panel because your mind will be blown with the amount of knowledge these people know about Star Wars. Very, very entertaining. And then I attended, there's a group called the Atlanta Radio Theater Company, and every year at DragonCon they actually do some productions. So they did a presentation, a production I should say there, that was very entertaining. The main one they did was actually kind of a steampunk version of Sherlock Holmes, which is very cool. It's very cool to kind of see a radio play acted out, I should say, on a stage in front of you with all the sound effects and stuff. It was very fun. And then the ended of the day with the last panel I was on Sunday, which was the only panel I was on Sunday. I don't know why I phrased it that way. Was Fact or Fiction. Fact or Fiction was another one in the historical fiction track, and basically there were several people on it. All the other people on the panel were authors. I was a substitute for somebody else, so I was the one fan on the panel. And basically we each told a story, and then the judges and the people in attendance had to guess if it was a story based in history, as a true story, or if it was a story we made up, which was a lot of fun. I had fun coming up with the story I did, which was basically one involving Aaron Burr and his life. I fooled some people, not everybody, but it was a lot of fun telling that story. Then on Monday, the last day at DragonCon, which Monday is kind of like a half day at DragonCon, they kind of wrap up the con, I think around 2 or 3 p.m. So I only attended a couple things on Monday. First up was kind of an academic presentation on Star Wars. It is basically a professor talking about how the various generations have shaped how Star Wars has been made and changed how it's examines society. So basically concepts like, how boomers, Gen Xers, millennials have impacted how Star Wars views the world. It was very kind of interesting. It basically felt like you were going back to college and hearing like a college lecture on Star Wars, which I kind of enjoyed because I love college. I love going to classes. Now lastly, ended my DragonCon actually with a panel I was on, which is probably the most mind-blowing panel I got to be on, which was Thrawn and the Chiss. Grand Admiral Thrawn is my favorite Star Wars character, so just being on a panel talking about him was really cool. But the really mind-blowing part of it is basically 3 fans and then Timothy Zahn, the author who created Grand Admiral Thrawn. So obviously Timothy Zahn did the majority of the talking and most of the questions were directed to him. But me and the other people got to chime in a little bit and kind of give our thoughts on the fan side of how we view Thrawn. I actually got to sit right next to Timothy Zahn, got a picture taken with him. He autographed one of my books. But he's one of my favorite authors of all time, and the fact that I got to sit next to him and basically hear him talk about one of my favorite characters of all time was mind-blowing. And basically all the inspirations he had for creating the character, the storyline, what he would like to do with the character in the future was absolutely amazing. I'd strongly encourage if you're a fan of Thrawn, and you want to hear one of those presentations, attend DragonCon in the future, because Timothy Zahn pretty much always attends DragonCon and does multiple panels. So it's a great chance to hear from this great author about this amazing character and all the awesome Star Wars books he's written. But anyway, so that was my DragonCon 2021. Honestly, probably my favorite DragonCon I ever got to attend because I got to enjoy it in a different way. Before, I've always just been in the audience, and this year I kind of actually felt like I was a little bit part of the show since I was on some panels. So kind of I got to view it in a different way. I think also another reason was my favorite DragonCon is the fact that I went a year without being able to attend, so it made it going back that much better. I've already got my tickets for 2022 DragonCon. If you're interested in going, I'd really recommend you buy your tickets now, because basically now you buy them at a discount, and as the con gets closer, the price keeps them going up and up. So you can get them now for the weekend pass, I believe is $85 if I remember correctly. When it gets closer, I believe it gets up to around $175, $200 for the entire weekend. So if you're thinking of going, go ahead and buy your tickets now. It's the cheapest you'll get them the entire time. But anyway, so that was my DragonCon experience this year. If you're at DragonCon, let me know in the comment section below. If you have a favorite con that you like to attend, let me know what that is. I'd be curious to see what everybody's favorite con to attend is. If you haven't yet, I highly recommend you attend DragonCon, and who knows, maybe the next time you'll see me. Hope to be on some panels in the future, so if you do attend, You know, maybe check this channel out and see if I'm going to be on any panels, and maybe we can actually meet in person. That'd be very cool. I got to meet a couple of my friends at DragonCon, so it's always neat to run into people you kind of know and have a connection with at DragonCon. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hit that like button if you haven't yet. Please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate the support, and I'll see you the next time, and stay nerdy out there.